Did you know less than 50% of websites actually pass Core Web Vitals? And most business owners have no idea why. And if you've ever opened PageSpeed Insights, looked at all those warnings, numbers, and recommendations, and thought, what am I even supposed to fix here? You are not alone. The problem is, most businesses are fixing the wrong things. I went through Google's documentations, tools, and real-world audits to build a clear process for this, so you can stop guessing and focus on what actually matters. In this video, I show you how to audit Core Web Vitals step by step, how to filter out the noise in PageSpeed Insights, and how to decide what's actually worth fixing. Because once you understand how to read this properly, the whole thing becomes a lot more manageable. When you first look at Core Web Vitals, it feels like a developer problem, like something you shouldn't even touch unless you write code for a living. But Google isn't measuring speed the way most people think. They are measuring how your website feels to use. And that's where most people go off track. Let's go through this the same way I audit an actual website. Because once you see what I'm looking at and why, the reports stop feeling random. The framework. Instead of trying to fix everything in PageSpeed Insights, you want to break it down into 3 simple signals: load, interaction, and stability. If you understand these 3, you can audit pretty much any website without getting overwhelmed. Part 1. Load, or LCP. LCP stands for Largest Contentful Paint. Imagine this. You click on a website from Google, and for a couple of seconds, you're just staring at a blank screen. Nothing meaningful has appeared yet. That's what LCP is measuring. But all that really means is, when does the main part of the page actually show up? Usually, that's your hero image, your main headline, or a big section at the top. Now, here's how I actually audit this. When I open PageSpeed Insights, I don't start with the score. I scroll down and look for the LCP element, because that tells me exactly what's loading late. And then I ask 3 simple questions. Is it an image? Is it text? Or is it being delayed? If it's an image, usually it's too big, not compressed, or not using modern formats. If it's text, it's often being blocked by CSS or fonts loading too late. And if it's delayed, you are probably dealing with server issues or caching problems. Here's where this gets interesting. Most websites don't fail this because they are slow overall. They fail because something is blocking that main content from showing up. For example, I once audited a site where the biggest issue wasn't the images. It was a chat widget loading before everything else. So the browser was busy loading that instead of showing the actual page. Turns out the chatbot was more eager to talk than the website was to load. That's what you're looking for. What's getting in the way? Technically speaking, this usually comes down to server response time, random blocking CSS or JavaScript, or large assets like images. But you don't need to overcomplicate it. You're just identifying the bottleneck. And if you want the exact checklist I use to go through this step by step, I've put that together below. It follows this exact process, so you don't have to figure it out from scratch. Part number 2, interaction, INP. INP stands for Interaction to Next Paint. Picture this. You land on a page, you click a button, and nothing happens. So, again, still nothing. Then suddenly everything loads at once. That delay, that gap, that's what INP measures. It replaced FID because measuring just the first interaction wasn't enough. They now look at how the page responds overall. Now, here's how I audit this. This is where I move beyond PageSpeed Insights. I open Chrome DevTools, go to the Performance tab, and record what's happening. And what I'm looking for is something called long tasks. These are chunks of JavaScript that block the main thread. Think of the main thread like a single worker. If that worker is busy running heavy scripts, it can't respond to user input. So when someone clicks something, they have to wait. In most cases, the problem comes down to too much JavaScript, scripts running too early, or third-party tools fighting for priority. Classic examples: analytics scripts, chat widgets, tracking tags, pop-ups, all loading before the page is ready. And here's something important. A site can load fast and still feel slow. This is usually why. Now, this is also the part where things get messy, because it's not always obvious what's causing the delay. Sometimes it's multiple scripts interacting with each other. Sometimes it's just poor loading order. Sometimes it's just one plugin from 2017 that refuses to retire. And this is where a lot of people get stuck. So if you are not sure what's actually worth fixing on your site, you can book a consultation and I'll walk you through exactly what's slowing things down. Because not everything here needs to be fixed, and knowing the difference matters. Part number 3, stability, CLS, meaning cumulative layout shift. You've probably experienced this before. You go to click a button, and right before you click, it moves. Now you've clicked something else, that CLS. It measures how the layout moves while the page is loading. When I audit this, I'm not just looking at numbers, I'm watching the page, because this is something you can literally see happening. Most of the time, the cause is pretty simple. Images without dimensions, ads or pop-ups loading late, fonts swapping mid-load, or dynamic content being injected. Here's a simple example. If you load an image but don't tell the browser how big it is, the browser doesn't know how much space to reserve. So when the page finally loads, everything shifts. Same thing with ads. If space isn't reserved in advance, the layout jumps when they appear. Technically, this is about how the browser calculates layout. But again, you don't need to go deep into that. You just need to identify what's moving and why. And the good news is, most CLS issues are actually the easiest to fix. Once you know what element is causing the shift, the solution is usually straightforward. Prioritization. Now, let's bring this together. You open PageSpeed Insights again. Same report, same warnings, but now it's different because now you understand what you are looking at. Instead of trying to fix everything, you narrow it down. What's delaying the main content? That's LCP. What's slowing down interaction? That's INP. What's moving around after load? That's CLS. And you fix them in that exact order. Start with load, then interaction, then stability. That's where most people go wrong. They treat everything equally instead of focusing on what actually impacts the experience. Now, if you want to take this further, I'd recommend downloading the complete SEO audit checklist below. Core Web Vitals are just one part of the bigger picture, and that checklist walks you through everything that actually impacts your rankings. And if you've ever looked at your website and thought, this looks fine, but it's still not ranking, watch this next video. Your website looks fine. This complete SEO audit reveals why Google disagrees. That's where this starts to make a lot more sense in the bigger SEO picture.